All right, I think we are live.
Woo.
As usual, we'll give it a few moments. I don't know if you got a separate phone or anything, but if you want to go to YouTube, there might be questions that can pop up. All right. We usually just kind of give it a few moments and people will start
Yeah.
streaming in here. Okay, I guess I don't need my phone. There's a little thing that popped up for me.
Oh, cool. Let's see. Hold up and see if I can find your live video. Hey, I see myself on your channel.
Are you disappointed?
Yeah, I wish I had more hair.
Oh, don't be jealous.
Oh, yeah, I know. Marilyn McGray says hello, and so does Hardy Dan. Hello.
Hello, Hardly Dan and Marilyn McRae and Melody. Welcome, welcome. Good to see you all. Thank you for joining Big Talks with Big T, episode 6, I think this is. I had Cassie on. I don't know if you watched that one. I had her on like
I haven't. I want to.
we talked about girly stuff, so you might not be interested.
Cool. Did you talk about putting bows in your hair?
Yeah, that was nice.
Yeah. I can put bows in my beard.
Maybe next time. Maybe next time.
Hi, good-natured pet mom and
Yes.
Mary B. and Charles Parrish.
Welcome, welcome. See how many people are streaming. About 11 right now. I wonder if you have any fans or friends that are going to watch. My
I
friend
did send it to
Scout
like my
is
parents
here.
on Facebook, so we'll see.
My buddy Scout. All right, so I think we could get going. We have 11 people, and hopefully they start streaming in more. I tried to
Yeah.
plug this more often and get more people coming in, but Marilyn says this is my first big talk. Well, welcome. Glad to have you all here. This is my friend Derek Hanisch. Did I say that right?
Yeah, and I'm not imaginary.
You're not imaginary. I do have a real friend outside of YouTube. He's right there.
All the
Um,
way in Florida.
in Florida, yeah, he did live in Minnesota, but it got too cold
Oh
for him,
no.
and he totally abandoned his Vikings and his.
I'm diehard Vikings. Vikings till I bleed. Till I bleed, till I die.
That's why I saw you wearing Tampa Bay gear. I mean,
I have a matching Viking shirt and a matching Tampa Bay shirt so that I can like blend in if I need to, but they're both you gotta do anthropology, blend into the surroundings.
looks like Amber is in here. That's his wife, Amber Hanisch, here to support her man. Hello, Jamie.
Nightlight is mad because she thought you were friends with her, but apparently I'm your only friend.
See, the difference is that Nightlight pretends like we're not friends, but you
Gotcha.
do. You have no choice but to admit it, to where she doesn't like to admit it.
I
She's
mean,
ashamed.
we don't have friendship bracelets made yet.
Yeah, not yet.
That's gonna be the next video. You can, show knitting friendship bracelets, and it'll be great.
So
Make it out of your beard. I'll make it out of my beard hair.
can everybody hear us fine? Both of us. Let us know down in the comments if you can hear us both well, and then we'll get started. Now, just a reminder to everybody who's watching, it's about a 30-second delay on your end. So if we don't get to you right away, that's why, but we'll do our best to answer questions, stuff like that. So please be patient with us. But I think everybody could hear us. Hello, Michelle.
it's interesting looking down at my phone and I'm like, I see you talking, but I don't hear anything.
All right. Everybody's saying they could hear us both. All right.
Oh,
So, Derek, we've been friends for what, 15 years, 17 years, something like that.
I was thinking, and I think it was around 2004, 2005, would be my guess. So 17 years ish.
And you still admit being my friend after all these years.
I mean, it's because you're paying me, but by the way, we can talk off the channel, but your last 3 checks bounced.
Okay,
So
okay.
we need to reevaluate this friendship.
So everybody needs to go to my Patreon and donate so I can pay my friend Derek the friend tax that I owe him.
Exactly.
All right, Derek. Well, I'm gonna open up the floor to you. I mean, if you want to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about who you are and maybe even what your struggle with your weight has been over the years.
Yeah, well, my name is Derek, and I'm from Minnesota, don't you know? Born and raised. Actually, I was born in North Dakota. I don't know if I want to admit that on air, but I guess I did.
That makes a lot
Um,
of sense.
I know it does, it really does. But yeah, I've always been, the big guy. It's kind of funny because my parents weren't that tall. I mean, in relative terms, my mom was 5'8", my dad like 6 feet, my brother's like 6 feet, but I'm 6'6", so
Mm.
I'm a weed. And people used to joke with my mom because they'd look at my brother and me and they'd be like, "What do you feed him?" My mom would go, "Well, the same thing I feed the scrawny one." I was just always, big kid. I played football, and I actually wrestled all up until ninth grade, and then I did football from fourth to high school. Um, Big guy. I was, fairly athletic. Definitely always overweight, but not, I was in okay shape. And then when I was 17, kind of a lot changed there. I was diagnosed with bone cancer, and I had a tumor in my left knee, right above my knee in my femur. So they actually removed my knee and half my femur. So I have a titanium rod and an artificial knee, and that kind of changed things. So never can't do football anymore. Can't really run. Just a lot of things changed with that.
Mm.
And up through college, I was always overweight, but I loved to walk. I was actually, at one point, I walked like a half or a 5K, and I wanted to walk like a half marathon, but then that just didn't happen. And one thing that I'm sure you will relate to is when you're overweight, um, medical stuff starts happening. It kind of snowballs, right? Like, oh, my back starts getting bad, and because my back's bad, I can't walk as much. Now that I'm not walking, my back's bad, and now this is bad and that's bad, and it just kind of compounds upon each other. And that's kind of where I've been the last few years. Is it's just kind of getting worse and worse, and I have a bad back. I was looking at potentially doing some surgery and things, and I got to the point where I'm like, that's not going to fix it. It might alleviate the issues, but if I really want to, get rid of the pain, I need to do something drastic. So that's kind of what's led me to where I am now.
Yeah, I mean, we definitely talk about that a lot on this channel. That there are a lot of the fat activists out there, which I didn't know they existed until I started this channel. That they were so militant about being fat.
Have you been protested yet?
Not yet, but I'm sure it's coming at some point. There is somebody who did make a hate video about me saying I was a bully, but outside of that, I haven't been protested too much. And I was thinking about like reacting to her video and like disputing what she said about me, but I just like I don't want to drag attention
You're
to
just
it.
playing the
And
games.
yeah, she's probably because her channel was dying anyways, and so she probably wanted some of my smolder. But yeah, we talk a lot about how a lot of these fat activists are in their 20s and their teens even, and they just deny that there's anything wrong with obesity, that there's no issues, they're healthy, you can be healthy at any size, and there's no consequences for it. They deny all the medical science that talks about what obesity can cause. And I say it, I'm like, I used to be that way when I was bigger. I was always the big kid. I played football, so my size was to my advantage at that time.
Yeah.
And, I was around that same time, about 17. No, I was 13. I was 13. I tore a ligament in my knee, and it never healed right, and I never played football again, but it's bothered me the rest of my life. But even when I was 300-400 pounds. It was like, I'm 20 years old. I'm 25 years old. There's no problem. I can run faster than my skinny friends. I'm active. I can walk miles, and my weight didn't cause a problem. And then all of a sudden, when I hit my 30s, it's like, what's going on? Like
Yeah.
suddenly, I'd go to the doctor's office and, oh, you don't have no high blood pressure. You're just a skinny person trapped in a fat person's body. You're fine. You're normal. There's no abnormal blood tests. Then all of a sudden, my liver enzymes were up, and I have a fatty liver. And then my blood pressure started going up, and my pain started increasing, and just all these problems and kidney stones, which I've never had my whole life. And I had my gallbladder taken out because I had gallstones, and
That's
just
right.
all these health issues started piling up on top of each other. And it's like, so now that's why I'm like in this channel, I'm like, listen, this is what you're going to go towards if you keep doing what you're doing. You might think that
Yeah.
you're fine in your 20s, but once you get to your 30s and 40s, man, it's going to start snowballing, like you said.
Yeah, but it's like every action movie where you're on a one-way train and
Hmm.
you're like, this is fine, and you don't realize that you're running out of tracks, and eventually bad things happen. The one medical thing which I never got, but I'm afraid of getting because it's a big risk, is gout. Like
Hmm.
gout's a big thing. If people get
Yep.
that, like that sucks. And I'm like, I don't want that. Like I don't want these things. And it's so to me, I mean, losing weight is definitely part of it. It'd be nice to be skinnier and fit in, put more clothes and have an easier time fitting into like some chairs and things. Like that would definitely is a plus. But that's not the reason I'm looking at surgery. It's
Hmm.
about, like I said, being healthy and getting, running away from some of these medical conditions.
And at 6'6", you'll probably never fit in some chairs, but
I know, right?
but yeah, I mean, it's just crazy how it just all of a sudden it starts hitting you, and you're just like down for the count. Um, and do you deal with pain consistently now? Like even sitting, like I'm sitting here in a tremendous amount of pain in my back, and every time I do these videos, I'm slouching down, then I sit up, and I constantly moving around, and
Yeah, the most amount of pain I'm in is on my feet for sure. But I do have, I'd say, mild backache, like my neck trying to be up, like, here, like
yep.
definitely feel it.
Hmm. So, how has it been being married now? I mean, there's sort of this attitude when people get married. Oh, I could let myself go now. I got the one. But is there any complications in your marriage? You don't have to get too detailed about
Yeah,
intimate stuff, but anything in your marriage that has been complicated because of your size and.
I would say mostly no. I mean, I luckily found a wonderful wife who, has never fat shamed me, never said, oh, Derek, we should lose some weight. Like, it's a journey we're in together, and she's very excited for this journey I'm starting,
Hmm.
and, like, my biggest cheerleader, but I've never felt pressure to do it either. I've never, felt like, oh, I have to lose weight or she's going to leave me or anything like that.
That's great.
And I think that is the blessed position to be in where, she's my best friend. Sorry, Tony. And, she's going to be by my side no matter what. And it's a great thing. Like, not to say, I think there's a difference between, like, acceptance and turning a blind eye. And, she doesn't turn a blind eye. Like, she is concerned about some of my health stuff and, like, concerned and wants me to be healthier.
Hmm.
But again, it's not about losing weight. It's about what can we do to be healthy so that you're here forever
Hmm.
and not have a heart attack when you're 40.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And have you guys had that conversation where she's like, "Honey, you're kind of getting a little big, and I'm worried about you," type thing?
A little bit, especially like last year, and it's not really been my weight, but it's been like I have an open wound in my foot. So when I had chemotherapy, I had neuropathy in my feet. So I have diabetic symptoms, but I'm not diabetic. But I have numb feet, and in November I was actually hospitalized because I had a crack in my skin get infected. And since November, I've had a open wound in my foot, and it just hasn't been healing. Been doing a lot of stuff. I mean, it's been 6 months, and that's again one of those health things that just compounds. And while being overweight isn't causing it, I have more pressure on my feet when I walk. I have more pressure in my joints, and so my foot's just not healing because of that. So there's definitely been I'm concerned because of your health stuff, and we need to look at what we can do to improve that. But it was never a you need to lose weight and get surgery. It was a like let's eat healthy, let's do some DDP yoga, which if you haven't heard of
I've tried it. Yeah.
yoga, it's a cool thing that you can do sitting in a chair where you don't have to stand, and like there's different ways that she's encouraged me to be healthy without necessarily pushing towards surgery. But like when I kind of brought this up that this is something I wanted to do, she was very supportive of that.
Just to say hi, we got some more comments. Hi, just another rando. Mary B, Kimberly Brown, Angela, hello, good to see you, my friend. Dan Ritter, thank you for commenting. If anybody has any questions for me or Derek, go ahead and ask them in the chat. We'll definitely get to them. So something that we also talk about here is I think most people agree with me that weight loss surgery is a last ditch effort. You said you did DDP yoga and stuff, but are there other ways that you tried to lose weight on your own and just couldn't get
I
it
mean,
down?
the big thing was dieting, and the problem with diet, and you've probably discussed this, is diets don't work, right?
Mm-hmm.
You need it's a lifestyle change that's going to work. Like diets, so I tried this one diet that I found this random book at the library. It was called Bright Lines Eating, and it worked great. I lost like 50 pounds, but it was here's the line, here's what you can eat, here's what you can't, and you never cross that line. And that's not sustainable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like I did great until I didn't. And then when you break the diet, it's like, oh, well, I broke it. I might as well just eat this piece of cake. And well, I ate the piece of cake, might as well eat all the cake, right? Like once you fail the diet, it just goes and goes. So like that's been a big thing is eating healthy definitely helps,
Mm-hmm.
but finding what works for eating healthy. I've done like exercise and things, but again, I've had a really bad back, and if I stand for more than 10, 15 minutes, I have really bad pain going down my hip,
Yeah.
and really hoping that will go away losing weight. But like that is a big hindrance to activity and whatnot.
Yeah, that's what I deal with a lot. Even after losing almost 200 pounds, it's like I need to go outside and walk. I need to lift weights. I need to do all these things, but it's like I'm in so much pain still. And I think I'm
Yeah,
in more pain now than I was at my heaviest, which is weird. But
yeah,
just biomechanical issues after gaining all that weight and learning how to walk a different way. And then now after
hmm,
losing 200 pounds, it's like I'm walking a different way that my body's not used to. And
yeah. Got to retrain it.
just, yeah, I got to retrain my body. So I'm constantly in pain. And it's like, how can I exercise? And it's like, okay, well, I can do bed exercises and chair exercises and stuff like that, but it's difficult. Um, how do you think that age might play a part in your ability to lose weight at this point? Do you think because you're older, your metabolism's slower, it's gonna be even harder once you get
Yeah.
to this age?
Well, once you mention this, and this is, I'm sure it's a scientific fact. I'm sure it's not, but it is. And when you turn 30, your body starts falling apart.
Mm-hmm.
I never had heartburn. I love spicy foods. I could eat anything. I could just chug a bottle of hot sauce. It was fine. Turned 30 the next day. I'm like, what is this burning in my chest? Like, your body just starts falling apart. So I'm 35. Luckily, I think that I'm still, on the younger side of the, my body's still falling apart, but it's held together by duct tape. So it's held together. And I mean, it's definitely going to be harder being a little older, like you said, having a slower metabolism, slowing down. But I also think that age is just one of the factors, and it's not. If you look at age as the limiting thing, then you're looking at the wrong thing. Like it sucks. But getting older and having slow metabolism, a body that hurts just because you're older and all those things. But
Mm.
just one more thing to deal with.
Yeah, if everybody can do me a huge favor, like this video for me, and if you can share it out, get it out there. Let's get as many people in here as possible. We're trying to get more people watching these big talks with Big T as we get more guests in here. So please like this video um, and share it if you can. Maybe I should take my own advice there. All right. Um, so where do we go next? Oh, I wanted to tell you, and I don't want to scare you away from weight loss surgery, but one
Okay.
thing you need to worry about that just happened to me the other night for the first time. is I had a massive acid reflux attack.
Hmm.
I don't know if you have sleep apnea,
I
but
don't.
that's good that you're not there yet. Um,
Yeah.
but I've had it for the past couple of years, and so I was wearing my CPAP, and I just suddenly woke up at like 3 o'clock in the morning, and there was stomach acid stuck in my throat with a bunch of phlegm. I thought I was
I've
choking to
actually had that
death.
happen like the last year. Just if I eat like pepperoni pizza right before bed, like I'll wake up and it's just in the throat, and yeah, it's not fun. And I've heard like some side effects, and this will go into some of the questions I have for you. But I've done some of my own research, and like side effects of heartburn can happen and whatnot. But definitely, I those things happen regardless, right?
Yeah.
Like it's just part of life. But yeah, I'm sure it's no fun waking up with that burning in your throat.
Oh, this was the worst acid attack I've ever had. Like there was literal stomach acid in my throat.
Oof.
I mean,
You have the milk of magnesia.
I didn't have any. I do have these pills that they gave me for after surgery, and I take them on occasion. I'm supposed to be taking them every 2 days, but I did eat right before bed, and I shouldn't have, and I don't
Oh,
normally. But I was extra hungry, and I had a few crackers, and so like I woke up a few hours later, and I mean it was I thought I was choking to death, and it was
hmm.
burning at the same time. Like there was all this
Crazy.
phlegm, and so I ran to the bathroom and I started coughing up yellow globs of stomach acid, like
Oh,
literal stomach acid. That was the worst thing I've ever experienced since surgery. That
you
hasn't
should have
happened
saved that and
since, but
sold it on like Craigslist or something.
yeah. And
Missed opportunity.
selling my stomach acid.
Yeah.
But anyways, you do have some questions for me. If you want to
Yeah.
go
Well,
ahead and
so let's segue into one that kind of relates to what you were just talking about. What is the post-surgery diet? Like that's one thing I've heard a bit about it, but like what did you eat right away? What have you graduated to eat?
so you want kind of both pre and post surgical
Sure.
diet. So pretty much depending on your doctor, he or she may want you to lose some weight before your surgery.
Yeah, I've been
Um,
told about 5% is the goal.
yeah. Every person is different. Every doctor is going to be different, and they may want you to lose a certain amount of weight. Your insurance company might have a specific amount of time. For me, my insurance company wanted 6 months of regular visits with the dietitian and getting weighed. And as long as I lost 2 pounds a month minimum, they were okay with it. But my doctor wanted me to get below 600, and I was started at 671, but I was probably 658 by the time that I saw them because I tried to do it on my own for a little bit
Yeah,
first. Um, and so going there, it was very slow at first because she said, the dietitian, I'm not going to put you on a strict diet right away. She goes, we found that doesn't help if we immediately dump you into a strict diet.
yeah, that makes
So we
sense.
want to educate you a little bit. And so tell me a little bit about what you eat. And so, we talk about it, and she'd say, okay, well, instead of having this in the morning, why don't you have that? And like it would be switching out regular sausage for turkey sausage, or um, cutting down the amount of sugar I was eating, or um, just small suggestions like that, and it would work for a month, and then it wouldn't work for a month because then it got to a point where I'm like, I need a little more structure. I need you to tell me how many calories I should be eating. So eventually, after a few months, it progressed to that where I eventually was like, I'm going to go on the pre-op diet. Like, I have to lose a lot of weight here, about 50, 60 pounds before the surgery. And so the pre-op diet, usually they ask you to do that at least maybe a week or two before your surgery. Um, and they call it the liver shrinking diet because your liver overlaps the stomach. Your liver is huge. And so usually your doctor, when they go in there, will need to move your liver sort of out of the way. But if you have a massive fatty liver, it's going to be very difficult for your doctor to do the surgery. So it's really kind of a very strict diet for about 2 weeks before. They call it the liver shrinking diet, but it also makes sure you don't got a lot of food in your system and stuff when
Yeah,
you go in for surgery. But it was pretty much ensure protein, max strengths, Um, it was Dannon Light and Fit Greek yogurt and lean cuisine dinners. So I would eat about 5 to 6 times a day. I would have an Ensure Max Protein drink, which is about 150 calories, and then about 2 hours later, I'd have a Greek yogurt. Then 2 hours later, I'd have another Ensure Protein Max, and then for dinner, I'd have a lean cuisine. And they say you could have like some fruit or a side salad with your lean cuisine or something like that. But that was pretty much like maybe 600 800 calories was a
Yeah.
pre-op diet, and and I definitely recommend that for anybody who needs to lose some weight. Just do the pre-op diet. Look it up. It's and because you're eating or drinking your calories every couple hours, I thought it was the best for me because I don't get hungry. It's like,
Yeah.
okay, if I get a little hungry, I'm like, okay, I got an hour left to wait. It's not something that you're going to starve. You're going to wait all day to eat something. I thought it was very good. So I was able to do that. And I dropped almost 100 pounds before my surgery,
Wow.
and I was like 580 something on surgery day. Um, so yeah, so that was the pre-op diet, and then like the day or two before, they don't want you to have anything but water or like Crystal Light stuff like that you can drink, but no food for the
Yeah.
few days before. So when you get out of the surgery, you're not going to be hungry at all.
Yeah.
You're just not. I was actually surprised because they brought me like liquidy mashed potatoes or cream of wheat that wasn't thick. Like the next day after surgery. You're probably going to have a lot of throat pain if you've had surgery. They stick something in your throat. When
Yeah.
you're under, so you might have a little bit of a sore throat. You're going to want something, but they might give you some ice chips. They might not, depending.
Yeah.
Um, so pretty much you're going to be on a liquid diet for the first 2 weeks after surgery.
Okay.
And that includes like liquidy mashed potatoes, a lot of broth, stuff like that, a lot of liquid cream of wheat, unsweetened, of course. And so that's the liquid diet for 2 weeks, and then for 4 weeks after that, you're going to be in a soft food stage, which is trying to think of what I had. Again, it was more mashed potatoes type thing, just soft mush foods like that. Just very soft, very malleable. I'll probably have to give you my list afterwards because it's like
Yeah.
slipping my mind
Like
exactly.
applesauce
Yeah,
yogurt kind of thing.
applesauce yogurt, that sort of thing. Very very soft, um, and continuing the Ensure Protein Max drinks because they're going to want you to get 90 grams of protein per day, and you're not going to do that by eating. So you need to have your Ensure Max proteins. You're going to have to drink those. When it came to drinking, you can sip throughout the day. You cannot chug your water. Um, And so, sipping throughout the day, you cannot drink 30 minutes before or after you eat. That sort of thing too. Be,
Hardly Dan says that there was a protein. Or no, sorry, he didn't say that. Kimberly said that there was a protein soup that saved her life.
okay. I don't remember any protein soup, but it was mostly just kind of a chicken noodle broth, and not the noodle part. But
Yeah. And said that
um,
hot liquids are easier to get down after surgery. Did you have that experience?
um, I, I had no problem with hot or cold. Some people do. Some people can't tolerate cold. Some people can't tolerate warm. I had absolutely no problem with either. Um, So yeah, it was pretty much the protein shakes and just kind of a broth or something like that. Um, then after the soft food stage, man, I should have researched this. I totally forgot because it's been a while. Um,
Well, I didn't throw this question on there as ones that I was going to discuss. It was one that I was like, oh, I should ask him.
okay,
So,
yeah, I mean it's after about 4 weeks of soft foods. If you're doing the bypass, then that's only 2 weeks. But if you're doing the sleeve, it's 4 weeks of soft foods. Then you kind of go into a I guess you can say normal food stage. Not too normal yet. You're still not hitting uh, some of the harder foods like protein. You can have maybe a little tuna, a little shredded.
no buffalo wings.
Yeah, pretty much. You just have to be careful. But yeah, for about a month to 6 weeks afterwards, it's going to take about 6 weeks for you to get to a normal sort of stage. And you're going to have to play around with it and see what you can have, what you can't have. Um, for the rest of your life, you can't have soda for the rest of your life because of the carbonation.
Oh.
They will tell you to
So
stay
does that go with like LaCroix and that kind of water that you can't have either?
anything with
Oh,
carbonation in it
interesting. I didn't know that.
because especially if you have the sleeve because you're going to have a little pouch
Yeah,
and
I'm
anything
looking
that
at the
causes
gastric bypass.
okay, I don't know if it's the same with that. You might have to ask
That's a good
Cassie
question to
that
ask. Yeah.
because she had the bypass, but yeah, you're not going to have any room in there for carbonation, and carbonation makes you burp, and
Yeah, that makes sense.
so they say stay away from that. You can't have alcohol for the rest of your life.
Hmm.
They say it's very very easy. Not only will you get drunk super fast, like
Yeah,
they found people that the alcohol absorbs in your system much faster than if when you have a normal stomach.
yeah,
So they've had people that literally had a single drink and then were out and got drunk and were past the limit and got a DOI and everything else, and they had no idea.
huh.
But then they also talk about transfer addiction, that they're finding that after about 2 years after bariatric surgery, the bariatric patients transferred their food addiction over to alcohol.
Oh,
So
interesting.
they will recommend that you do not drink for the rest of your life. So those are the
All
two
right.
things you can't have. Um, let's see what else. Um, Raw vegetables are going to be very, very tough because they do cause gas. So I don't know if it's the same for bypass, but with the sleeve surgery, they said to be careful with raw vegetables. So if I do eat vegetables now, they're cooked and stuff like that. Proteins usually have a hard time in my stomach because they are harder to digest.
Yeah.
Like ground beef, I've had no problems with ground beef, but thing I remember I had turkey for Thanksgiving. I've had chicken breast, fish, those sorts of things. Like I get really really nauseous when I eat those things. I haven't thrown up, but those things have a harder time digesting. The proteins. So they say to stick with fatty protein because it's easier to digest than sort of a dry protein
Yeah.
sort of thing. So pretty much you will get to a point where you can have whatever you want. I've had pizza, I've had everything since my weight loss surgery, so there's going to be no restrictions on what you can eat. If you're having the bypass, you will have more of a dumping syndrome problem than if you
Yeah.
have the sleeve, which means just a little bit of sugar will throw you out of a loop. So you're probably going to have to be more careful with what you eat. Um, and my doctor does want to do a bypass on me still. So
Okay.
that might be something that happens in the future. He wanted to do the sleeve to get me down a few more 100 pounds and then do the bypass. I don't know if I'm going to do that or not yet.
Yeah.
So I might be right there along with you. But yeah, I guess that's pretty much what the diet's going to be. They'll your program that you're in will give you a packet. They'll tell you what you can have, what you can't have. So that's pretty much it. You're going to have to look forward to a few weeks of just a pure liquid diet and then a soft food stage and then getting into the normal food stage.
Yeah. Yeah. So just where I'm at in the process, just so everyone knows, is at the very beginning, I've just had my initial consultation with the doctor. And then from there, I have three kind of specialists I have to follow up with. There's a nurse practitioner, the dietitian, and the psychologist.
Mm.
And, they'll all have checklists that you need to do. So I have appointments next month for the psychologist and nurse practitioner. And then this Friday, I actually have my first dietitian appointment. So starting, I have my appointment set, but I haven't necessarily met with everyone yet.
Okay. Hi, Allison. Hello, Claudia and April. Good to see you, Design Chick. Good natured pet mom. I think I already said hi. I'm not sure. Ben Haley.
GSD and Dane Mom is saying that 5 years out and still cannot drink plain water. They use the sugar-free packets and still doesn't sit the greatest. Yeah, and I'm reading too that no carbonation for any surgery, um, either of them. So that's interesting.
It's going to be interesting to see how it works this summer when it's really hot out and I really want to chug some water but can't. Um,
Yeah.
And something I deal with too is after I eat, I always have gas. Like
Hmm.
you know that feeling after you eat, you get gas bubbles, and
Yep.
it's just
Like bloating.
you just want to burp, but you
Hmm.
can't do it. You're gonna feel that a lot after you eat after every meal. So that's something I deal with. So
So, going into weight loss surgery, is there anything now that you're looking back? Is there anything that you wish anyone would have told you before you had the surgery?
I think it was more of something that I would have to figure out on my own because every experience is going to be different. How food reacts with you is going to be different. Um, for me, it was more the preparation process, and you know I went through this, but I was thinking that after surgery it would be a couple weeks and I can get back to work, but it was a month before I was able to get back to work
Yeah.
because you're learning a whole new way of living and existing, and you're barely going to get a few hundred calories at the start. You're probably going to be dealing with some dizziness. You're probably going to just not feel that well. There's going to be a lot of days you're going to be fatigued because you're not getting enough calories in, and so mentally, physically, you're not going to be at your best for a good month after surgery. They
Yeah.
don't even want you lifting anything for a good 6 weeks after surgery. So I wish I knew more about what that would entail because, again, I thought, okay, I'll be out a couple weeks. And just financially, I took a major hit
Yeah.
because I could not work for a month afterwards. And even now, all these months later, I'm still dealing with moments of fatigue because I'm still trying to figure out how to eat. I'm still trying to figure out what I should be eating. And um, I haven't been able to get the shakes, the protein shakes that I need. So I've been really, really down. Um, and they're going to give you these horrible vitamins, and your stomach's not going to be able to absorb as much vitamins and minerals from your food
Yeah.
and from your vitamins. And so there's times where you're just going to feel blah. You might feel depressed because if you are an emotional eater, you're going to have to learn how to cope with certain things without running to food, which I don't know if I told people on my channel, but my dad died on Halloween, 2006. But every year, I always coped with food. I always got myself a large pizza and watched horror movies. And so this was only a few weeks after surgery. My surgery was on October 18th. So this past Halloween, I was in my bed just bawling my eyes out, just completely messed up. And I was dealing with my dad's death for the first time for real without covering it up and coping with food. So if you tend to be an emotional eater, you're going to have a tough time emotionally dealing with some things because you're not going to have food to help you cope with it that you can run to. Um, so it's going to be more of a mental battle than you think
Yeah.
it will be.
Well,
Um,
and I know one thing that I'm going to struggle with is I'm not necessarily an emotional eater. I will eat when I'm stressed, but I'm a snacker. And
Snacker, yeah,
like, I want to snack all the time. If I have a bag of chips by me, I'll just, mindlessly eating, like something to do. And I know that that's going to be a big thing to change. Although it will be good to snack, like you said, with the small meals, but it's a
yeah.
different kind of snacking.
And that's where I use the surgery to my advantage is because you are going to crave those foods again. You might not think it, but you're going to see that ad on TV for that pizza or that new Taco Bell thing, and you're just going to want to drool over it and go get it. But I've learned that if I go eat something, even if it's healthy, I get full so quickly that I'm no longer hungry and want that. So, I mean, you're gonna have to learn for yourself if you do want to snack. You can just snack something healthy, and you're just gonna be full right away.
Yeah.
And it's just a new way of learning how to just e- exist pretty much. And so I would definitely recommend taking at least a month off if you can financially afford it, um, or at least save up so you can do that for a month. Um, and pretty much after that, you should be good to go. But 2 weeks minimum. But
Yeah. And that's what they said is that you typically need 2 weeks before you can return to work.
mhm.
So I know you talked a bit about it and how it took you a while to get to your surgery because you had to lose some weight. But how long did it take you of thinking about your surgery and kind of considering it before you're like, I'm going to pull the trigger and do this?
Actually, I've been fighting with it for about 10 years.
Hmm.
Because I was supposed to get this surgery 10 years ago, and I wish I did it now. Because I'd be healthy right now. I'd probably be married and have kids and all those things that I want to do, um, that I haven't done because my size prohibited me from, doing any of that. But yeah, I was living with my sister about 10, 12 years ago or so, and she was helping me get involved in the program. But I didn't take it seriously because I kept hearing horror stories about the surgery. And everybody knew somebody whose cousin's uncle died or had a horrible issue with it or was in and out of the hospital because they didn't heal right from it or something. And so you're always listening to the horror stories. And it just scared the death out of me. I was like, I don't want the surgery. I mean, I know I need it. I've struggled my whole life with my weight, and I can do it on my own. And I kept telling myself that I can do it on my own. I can figure it out. I can, but I didn't realize the amount of work that went into losing weight. And, and
Honestly,
just,
that's something that I've been dealing with the last year or two. It's well, I might need surgery someday, but right now I can just do this on my own, and I can just lose weight on my own. And if I don't, I can do surgery someday, but not right now, because right
mhm.
now I can fix this.
Yeah. And I often tell people on my channel now, it's like, if you want to lose weight, you're not going to do it till you fix this first.
Yeah.
You're just not going to, because it's a mental battle. It's not a physical battle. It's a mental battle. And most people overeat for a variety of reasons. For me, I experienced a lot of trauma in my childhood and neglect and just a lot of pain. And so I ran to food to help me cope with that. And so I've tried and 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 failed and failed. And I've gained and regained and lost hundreds of pounds over the years. Hundreds of pounds.
I remember when you did keto, like that was a really good step for you, but then, like you said, everything kind of tapers off at some point.
Yeah, I did it for about a year. I lost 120 pounds doing keto and was doing great. Um, and and then just I kind of like lost control of it and gained it all back. And I lost that 100 pounds again. And then when COVID hit, I gained 120 pounds during COVID.
Uh,
And I was shocked because I didn't realize I gained that much weight. And then, because I remember I was like 514 or something. And then I was getting back involved with the bariatric clinic. And then I went and I was over 600 pounds. I'm like, what the hell happened? And, but yeah, I mean, it was very easy during COVID because it's like, and I'm using this as an excuse totally, but, you know, the stores around us were closed. They ran out of food. And the only place that you can go get food was ordering out at McDonald's on DoorDash. And so that's how we ate for months because we were
yeah.
just, my mom was scared of going out and I couldn't go out because I was so big. And so it was like, that was our only option. And so I totally used that as an excuse to just get back in my old eating habits, and I gained it all back. Um, so it was really just time after time after time of failing. And then this very last time getting involved with the program, and they were very comprehensive. They had a psychologist and a therapist, they had a dietitian. So they worked you over top to bottom, to make sure you're going to be good with surgery, because a lot of
Yeah.
people do stretch their stomach back out and they do regain the weight if they don't deal with the mental part of it first. So they're going to clear you mentally, like psychologically. They're going to give you an evaluation to make sure you're not going to be the type of person who's going to gain the weight back. And so, um, dealing with the mental part of it first, and getting counseling and help with a lot of the trauma that I went through and stuff like that was huge, and helping me finally get the weight off. But still, like I said, after surgery, I still dealt with a lot of mental aspects of not having food to cope and dealing with things for the first time in my life that I sort of just shoved down under food. So stuff like that happens. Let me check the comments here real quick. There's a lot of people commenting. Congratulations on losing 32 pounds since January, Miss Jimmy's girl. Sorry if I missed any of your comments here. We're kind of getting into the chat here, but Marie B, you have IBS, haven't had weight loss surgery, nor have I endured Crohn's, but I don't eat dairy either. So tired of failing. I honestly thought I would suffer emotionally after the surgery, but surprisingly, I'm doing pretty well. That's awesome, Kimberly.
Nevermore is talking about collagen peptides. I've heard of them. It's supposedly the new, miracle thing for losing weight, which it could help. And I think all those, miracle things, they help some people.
Mm-hmm.
And there's going to be some people who will lose a lot of weight. I mean, think of Fen back in the 90s. My parents lost a lot of weight on Fen, and it was awesome for them. It was a drug that ended up having some side effects. People didn't do well on it. I think it's similar with a lot of these things where you might react really well and it might be awesome, but it's not a one size fit all for any of these supplements, these diets, these things. Don't want to knock any diets because some work for people and they change their life. Some people do keto and they've done it for the rest of their life and they're successful, but it's definitely not a glove that one size fits all.
Oh yeah, and Hanisch just reminded me what I was trying to say. Like I lost track because I have ADHD and I forget what I'm talking about sometimes. Um, yeah, I was totally like 10 years ago supposed to do that, and I did let the fear stop me, and I thought I could do it on my own, and just finally got to a point where I had to decide that I needed to do it, and I needed help. I needed community help. I needed help from my family. You've helped me out a lot. Like just when you're trying to do this and you're trying to save your life, like you cannot do it on your own. You just cannot do it. And I don't mean to tell people what they can and can't do or what they're strong enough for or anything else like that, but you could just ask anybody who's gained weight just how hard it is. It's super hard.
Well, and honestly, when I was, decided I was starting this, my wife Amber asked me, are you going to tell people you're doing surgery or not? And it's like, I understand there's a stigma with some of this stuff, but at the same time, so I went through depression really bad when I was in college. And I learned that if you don't talk about it, there's so many people going through the same thing. And by not talking about it, we put a stigma out there. So I'm like, no, I might not start a YouTube channel like Tony, but I'm going to be open about my process because by not, it's just making the stigma worse, the shame worse. And let's talk about these things. Let's have conversations. Let's, move forward and not be alone.
Yeah, I mean, I have so many people who are very supportive of my journey on my channel and stuff, and there's all kinds of support groups, people who are willing to help you. But there are that small amount of people who just have no sympathy for overweight people whatsoever. And
It's not a willpower thing. I mean,
yeah,
that's what they think, right? Oh, if you just decided not to eat that, look, there is a willpower aspect, but
yeah.
it's not a willpower thing.
I mean, they just say things like they did it to themselves. I have no sympathy for you,
Yeah.
type thing. And it's like you don't know what I went through and the amount of pain that I went through. Where food was the only. Yeah, I did do it to myself. I fully admit that. I've always taken responsibility for myself and in the actions that I've taken. But like some people just have a harder time overcoming trauma. Somebody's like, well, yeah, I went through trauma too, and I didn't get fat. I'm like, well, then how did you overcome it? Because you overcame it somehow. And
Yeah.
some things are socially more acceptable than other things. Like people hate fat people. All right, fine. You just don't think that anybody has any excuse for anything. Like there's nothing there that you can show an ounce of sympathy to somebody who went through mental, physical, and sexual abuse like I have. I mean, it's just like try to love somebody. And so I do try to put some tough love into my channel and try to help people gain full responsibility of their actions. But at the same time, I get so many great comments from people who are like, Big T, you are the only channel I've seen where you show sympathy and compassion towards overweight people. And it's like, because I
Yeah.
absolutely been there. Like I'm still dealing with the mental part of it. Like I still deal with loneliness because I'm 39 years old and I've never even had a girlfriend. I still deal with the trauma that I went through as a kid and feeling lonely and all that stuff. So I totally understand why people overeat. At the same time, it's like I had to take responsibility for myself in order to get to where I am today, 200 pounds down. So
Yeah,
it's a sort of mix, but the people who have no sympathy for what other people have been through just drive me crazy.
for sure. So I've got one more question for you, and then after that, we'll turn it over to any questions that you guys have in the comments. So be thinking. But just my final question is kind of, how has the surgery changed your life so far? And along the lines, what big milestones are you looking forward to?
Um, it hasn't changed anything in my life. No, I'm kidding. Um, I guess I could say I was pretty much bedridden, and I was afraid to let anybody know how big I had gotten. Like I always portrayed myself as somebody who was doing okay, just struggling. I struggled a little financially. I was struggling with this or that, but I was just a normal guy. But what hardly anybody knew, especially my online friends, is that I was almost 700 pounds. I was bedridden. I couldn't even walk to go to the bathroom, and my bathroom was literally right there. Um, and I needed my mom to help me out with everything. I couldn't go grocery shopping. I couldn't barely fit in my truck. I couldn't wear a seatbelt. All those things I couldn't do. Um, and so I would just kind of sit here and just be in despair and misery, watching life pass me by. Summer after summer, all my friends are doing all these wonderful things, and I was stuck in my bed. I couldn't find work. I couldn't do anything. Um, and it's just suffering and just dying silently, and nobody knew what I was going through to the full extent because I was ashamed of myself. Um, but since I had weight loss surgery, it's like I've been taking a lot more photographs of myself lately, even though I'm not where I want to be. But I've fully come out and told everybody, okay, I used to be almost 700 pounds. And look at what I've been able to accomplish because my story is inspiring people. And I had no idea how many people were inspired by my story who um, just comment like hundreds of comments on every single video. Just Big T, you inspire me so much. You've changed my life. Like I did a um, video of me walking for the first time since surgery, going for a walk, and people were like, "Big T, you're bigger than I am, and you're out there walking, and now I want to get out and walk too because I see that you're doing it and you're working so hard." So just, so many friends and people that I don't even know just supporting me and loving on me and helping me through it has been huge. But after losing the weight, just having more confidence in myself, wanting to put myself out there more. I'm able to clean for myself and cook for myself, and I can wear a seatbelt. I can get in my truck no problem. Um, Now I see a future for myself where before I just saw death. I just saw I'm going to die in the
That's
next few
big.
years.
Like, I want
And
to just pause and just like re-say that. Like, you said, you see a future now, where you just saw death. Like, that's big.
I mean, yeah, I mean, it was really getting to a point where I was like, look, I'm going to be single. I'm not going to have kids. I'm almost 40. Like, there's no point anymore. I might as well just die. And like, I thought that on many occasions. Like, as Christians, we know we often are like, Lord, please come. Like this world is getting, crazy. But for me, it was just like, just take me, Lord. I have nothing to live for. I'm never gonna find what I want. I'm never gonna get that career that I want. All my dreams, I wasted 20 years of my life. There's no point in starting over. There's no point in um, starting now, starting my life at 40. But just,
I wonder how many people who are overweight deal with depression. Like,
mhm,
I'm guessing that there's a big overlap there.
yeah. Probably most of them. I mean, you just kind of get to a point where you're just miserable because you're in pain. You can't interact with society. You're alone. Nobody likes you. You're made fun of every time you go out. You're stared at. Like, there's no positive in being overweight.
Well, I'm lucky in the fact, so I'm close to 500 pounds, but I'm 6'6", so I
Hmm.
have some height, and I definitely look overweight. But imagine if I was 5'5", like that extra foot really helps. Where I see people and it's not. I do sometimes get made fun of, but a lot of times just like, oh, the Big Show,
Yeah.
wrestler, or like, hey, Tiny, or I think that's one I like hear a lot. It's kind of that like, oh, hey, Tiny, and it's like you're saying it out of trying to be fun, but at the same time, there's that little dab there, right? Like you're not Tiny.
Yeah. Yeah. That's true. So just kind of where I'm at now, it's like I can see myself being a pastor, which is something that I've
That's
wanted
awesome.
to do for years. I can see myself getting married and having kids, um, which is frustrating because I'm like I want that stuff now, but I haven't even met anybody yet who is interested in me. So it's like,
Well, I am, but I'm getting there. So
so it's like, oh man, I have to wait another year, another 2 years before I'm skinny enough to get out there and people will like me. But I don't think that way anymore. It's just I am who I am, and I'm working hard at it. And I know I'm gonna get that job. I know I'm gonna. My whole life is still ahead of me. That my life isn't gonna be over at 40. I don't know what it was that clicked for me though. Just one day I was just like, I'm not gonna die. I enjoy living. I just want to do things. I'm tired of watching another summer pass me by. I want to be out there and bonfires and meet people, and I'm tired of having my mom have to do everything for me. And so now I do everything for her, and it's just tired of suffering financially, tired of suffering with all the pain that I was dealing with. I think a lot of it was my knee pain. And I think sort of God used that to snap me out of it because just sitting here, like my knees were throbbing at 10. And I don't know what was going on because I had no problem. I had my bad knee, but I had my good knee. I've never had problems with that knee. And then just all of a sudden I woke up one morning and it was on a 10. It didn't stop throbbing.
huh.
And um, it does that every once in a while now, but it's like after losing almost 200 pounds, it's like other than just the biomechanical pains I was talking about, back pain or knee pain, like that's normal pain. People, listen. When you get to almost 40 years old, stuff's gonna hurt. All right, it's just you're not
Yeah.
gonna get past that no matter what. But so it's normal pains now versus oh wow, I'm sitting here and my knee is throbbing and I'm not even on my knee because my weight has deteriorated my knees to the point of extreme pain. But so overall, the surgery changed my life for the better.
Yeah.
There was like
Well,
a
I mean,
there was like a 2 week. Sorry to interrupt you, but there was like a 2 week moment right after surgery. I'm like, I regret this, but now like 6 months out from surgery, having lost almost 200 pounds and just feeling amazing and feeling hopeful and stuff like that, I totally see that it was worth it.
well, I'll echo what all your commenters say, and that's you are an inspiration. When I was thinking about surgery, it was like, let's talk to Tony because he's been through this, and it's always like you said, each person has their own journey, right? And what you went through isn't going to be kind of what I went through, but that doesn't mean I can't learn from it, right? Like we should. My journey is going to be unique and different, but like I definitely appreciate you just being vulnerable and real and honest because it does help inspire others and it's helped inspire me.
Hmm. Yeah, I'm just glad that there's so many people who've commented that I inspire them, but you and Cassie as well who are seeing my journey, like friends I've known forever, who are like, I
It
can
seems
do
that way.
this, you know? Yeah, it seems like I've known you way too long. Like,
Went to therapy to forget you and it didn't work.
yeah, and as much as your wife tries to separate us, it's.
I know.
Oh, but one more thing about weight loss that you're gonna have to worry about is it's possible that after surgery you could lose your hair. So I didn't want you to be afraid of that.
What about my beard, my precious beard?
Your beard should be fine.
Okay, cool. And all my flowing golden locks.
Scout's like, tell me why they both look like brothers. Because we are brothers, pretty much.
Brothers from another mother.
Maybe it's the same mom.
That'd be weird. grandma lives in Michigan.
You never know. It's funny because in my family, all my aunts and uncles on my dad's side, like every single kid is dark hair and brown eyes, except for the youngest uncle, blonde hair, blue eyes. And so we've always teased grandma that she nailed the mailman because it's like, how do you have all these kids with brown hair or dark hair, brown eyes, and then you just have one blonde hair, blue eyed kid out of the blue?
Well, that's what I joke with my height being 6'6". I'm like, is the Swan Man my dad?
Yeah, I feel that way too because I'm the biggest person in my family. Like, but my dad was 5'7" and he was super short. But it's funny when he would try to like reel up against me like he wanted to wrestle me or something. And like when I was a kid, that was one thing. But when I got to be a teenager and I could easily take him down, it's like, what are you doing, Dad? I'm bigger than you.
Funny.
So does anybody have any questions for us or any comments? Yes, Scout's like, story of my life. I'm the only kid that doesn't look Asian. It's funny because she has an Asian background, but then she's the only one that doesn't look Asian. But she
That's
eats a
funny.
lot of rice though, so I guess that rice is trying to make her look more Asian, but it doesn't.
There's one comment saying that her doctor told her today that she was painfully thin. I wish I had that problem.
Hmm.
Although, don't want to discount being that. Like, we see people who can't gain weight, and
Mm-hmm.
that is, you shouldn't thin shame either, right? Like, there are legit people who it's like, oh, you just gain some weight, and it's like, I'm trying. Like, it's definitely a different struggle, a struggle I wish I had. But again, if I had it, I might say I wish I didn't. But
Scout's playing the racist card.
even
Darla,
if it's true.
I'm the only blonde in my family.
Here's a question for me, Derek. Are you nervous for the surgery at all? She missed that part, so I maybe answered it. I would say yes and no. I'm mostly excited. I'm definitely nervous for the aftermath. Like Tony said, like there's going to be some pain, relearning life, relearning things. I think the surgery itself, I'm not nervous about. It's more what comes after the surgery.
Yeah. For me, when I got out of surgery, you are going to feel that pain, but it's mostly the gas pain because they fill up your abdomen with gas so the doctor can go in there. And sometimes some gets trapped in there. So I didn't feel like I had my stomach cut in half or nothing. I didn't feel that.
Yeah.
But it's mostly gas pains, like really bad bloating pains that might stick with you for a day or two if some gas gets trapped in there. But when you're just laying there and you're feeling comfortable, like, and of course they give you meds, um, it's not a big deal. Like right after, yeah, you're gonna feel really bad coming right out of it. But after a
How long
day,
were you in the hospital
four,
after your
I
surgery?
was in for 4 days, and usually they'll send you home the next day. So I was having extra pain because all of my incisions were up here in my upper abdomen. So that's about 5 incisions you can look forward to. But because I was still pretty big, anytime I stood up, my stomach, of course, hung down to the ground. Not all the way to the ground, but you know what I'm saying. It hung
Yeah.
down. And so it would pull on my incisions. And so standing up to do anything was atrociously painful. And so they do give you a belly binder so it'll kind of lift up your stomach so it doesn't hang down when you stand up.
Yeah.
And so that could help some of the pain, but of course it didn't fit me because I was wearing 9X shirts at the time. So they tried to put two belly binders on me, but it wouldn't stick right. And so it's like, all right, I can't fit in one. So my belly hung down. So if you don't have that big of a belly hanging down, you might be fine. But that was the worst of the pain. Um, and of course they were really nice about it. They're like, you can stay as long as you need to until you feel comfortable going home. And they knew that me walking home because they are going to make you get up that day and walk. to get the gas out to help with any kind of blood clots that they're worried about. They're going to make you walk. So if you're up and walking and it's not that painful for you, they might send you home the next day. But if there's any complications or anything else like that, um, and this might be TMI for the people watching, but they're going to make sure you can fart. That's the one thing they kept asking me is like, did you fart yet? Did you fart yet? They want to make sure everything's working good. They're going to want to make sure that you pee and poop. Of course, I didn't for like 4 days afterwards, so you might be a little constipated afterwards. But they just want to make sure everything's working good, so that's something to look forward to as well when
Yeah.
you're in the hospital. But the big thing is we're not going to let you go home until you fart. Like we need to make sure that you're letting out some of that gas. So
My time to shine.
at least that's what your wife says, right?
Yeah. Was your surgery robotic surgery?
Yeah. No, no, it was laparoscopic, but I don't think it was robotic.
Okay, so when I'm looking at Tampa General, they actually it's robotic surgery, so they have the like a machine that kind of does the 5 incisions.
Yeah. I mean, as far as I know, it was laparoscopic, but not the robot. But I could be wrong about that.
Yeah, interesting. Yeah, I mean, I was actually talking to Cassie about that, and she was saying kind of the difference between the two is you typically have recover a little easier from the robotic surgery, but you have more control over the laparoscopic non-robotic because you're actually there.
Yeah.
So you definitely have a little more of that
And that's
control.
probably why I was so scared of the surgery beforehand because they didn't even have laparoscopically done. Like
Huh.
they just cut you open, and that's how they did it
Nice.
before. So.
Yeah. Yeah, a
Uh,
lot has changed over the 10 years when you first thought about it.
Oh yeah, I was looking at all the stats, and something that helped me out too is I watched them do a surgery before on YouTube. They have videos of them doing the surgery, and if you're too squeamish, like I didn't find that it was too gross or anything. If you're too squeamish, then don't do it. But it actually relaxed me because it like helped me see that it wasn't that big of a deal. Um, for my surgery, for the sleeve, they basically have these pair of scissors, and so you make a cut and then on each side of the blade, they have titanium staples. So when you made a cut, it stapled along the stomach line and it stapled the stomach that was just cut. And
Huh.
so they staple again the titanium staples, and I'll have titanium staples in me for the rest of my life. But and it's like 2 or 3 cuts, and it's done. Then they pull the stomach out, and it was like it's a 15, 20, 30 minute surgery. It might be longer with all the extra prep stuff and whatever, but
Yeah.
it wasn't that big of a deal. And so I wasn't as scared going into it, just watching the surgery. And the scariest part though is when they wheel me in there and they get you on this big slab and it's cold and they make you put your arms out. I don't know if you've did that with that. You've had
Yeah.
several surgeries, but um, yeah, I mean it was scary and they have you count down and I used to be tough and think, well, I'm so tough that they'd never be able to put me under. I'll just keep my eyes open and because I was scared of going under and of course after 2 seconds I was out.
Yep. And then you're waking up going, what just happened?
Yeah, I mean it's just like that. You just blink out and then it feels like 5 minutes later you wake back up. But it's crazy. Something else I was gonna say too. Um, yeah, being bigger too. They found a way to prop my head up too because that's one of the issues that I had when I had my gallbladder out being bigger is I struggled breathing during that surgery. So I let them know that. I let the anesthesia people know that I struggled breathing, even though I'd lost 100 pounds since then, and they had no problems with me because they made sure to put my head up. So if you do have sleep apnea, problems like that, and I know you said you don't, any breathing issues, then make sure to tell the doctors that, the anesthesia people.
Yeah. I'm not seeing any questions.
Your surgery took
But
less time than my four wisdom teeth.
yeah, there's a lot of cool comments if you're in the comments to read about it. People kind of sharing their journey and their stories. It's very encouraging just to hear what everyone else is going through.
Mm-hmm.
I like this one. I'm from Kimberly Brown. I had my surgery at Celebration Hospital in Florida. As they wheeled me in, I told a joke about Disney's Frozen head, and then I passed out. Didn't even see the operating room.
That's awesome.
Darla says, you guys have such positive attitude. It's refreshing to see with all the negative in the world. Well, here's a secret. Santa's fat. Fat people are jolly and happy, right?
That's too funny. Wondering how you feel about Ozempic versus surgery. Have you heard of Ozempic?
Yeah, I can actually talk about that a little bit. I did see a weight loss doctor. They wanted me to try Ozempic. So there's Ozempic, and then I'm blanking on the name, but there's another name it goes by
Mm-hmm.
that is targeted towards weight loss. Ozempic is targeted towards diabetes, but it's shown to have a big weight loss. And I ran into the problem with insurance. My insurance doesn't cover the Wegovy is the name of the weight loss version.
Wegovy, yep.
Doesn't cover Wegovy. And then Ozempic, because I'm not diabetic, they wouldn't cover that either. So I actually wasn't able to even try that. Although at the weight loss doctor, when I met with her, she said that they did oftentimes prescribe Ozempic to people before their weight loss surgery to help them lose weight before it. And I mentioned my insurance. She goes, "Oh, we're good at getting those approved." So that's definitely a tool, I think, to lose weight towards a surgery.
Mm-hmm.
And for some people, depending on how much you need to lose, it might be good. It's definitely something we wanted to try, but wasn't able to just based on insurance money.
My thought on that is if it works for you, great, try it out. It's worth trying. But for one, I heard that as soon as you get off of it, you gain the weight back. So you're going to pretty much, because you're not dealing with the mental aspect of it, you're not dealing with
Yeah.
your food addiction or your trauma or what led you to get overweight in the first place. So as soon as you get off of it, you're going to gain the weight right back. And everybody who has gotten off of it did gain it back. So be prepared to take that drug for the rest of your life if you want to keep the weight off. And also, there are side effects to it. I heard like people were aging rapidly as soon as they started it. Like I read an article on it that just physically they looked like in their face that they'd aged 10 years or something since they started taking it. I don't know if that's 100% true. I'll have to look at it again, but when it's something like that, I don't really trust medication. Again, if it works for you and you want to try it out. I mean, it can get you to a point to maybe you can, lose a few pounds and get healthier before a surgery or something like that. But anything that you have to be on for the rest of your life, I wouldn't recommend because you're really going to have to deal with the mental part of it.
Yeah,
That's just
makes
my
sense.
opinion. So somebody asked, how many kids do you want? I don't know if you're asking me or Derek. Just curious. I think you'd make a great dad. Thank you, Chandra. I want a big family. I'd like 3 to 4 kids. That's why if I do marry, I want to marry somebody younger than me because, I feel like I kind of like wasted 20 years of my life. And so if I met somebody my own age, I probably wouldn't be able to have any kids. Or if I do, it'd be just one kid. So I wouldn't mind marrying somebody younger than me, but I'd like 3 to 4 kids is what I'd like. What about you, Derek? Kids in the plan?
Yeah, we're hoping to have kids soon. I would say, at this point, any kids would be a blessing. 2 to 3 would be awesome, but we'll see what the Lord has.
Yeah.
And Tony, just stay out of high school, right?
Oh yeah.
Don't go trolling the high school looking for chicks.
Don't tell me what to do, Derek. What
But she
about
says she's 18.
once they graduate high school? I'm good. No, I think my bottom limit would maybe be 25, maybe.
Well, and it's one of those things too that, like, one, a 15-year age gap might seem a little excessive when 25 and 40, which actually I don't think is too bad. But like when you're 50 and 75, like once you get older, that gap really shrinks.
Hmm. Yeah, I know there'd be complications with that. I know her family probably wouldn't like, hey, you're dating a 40-year-old dude. Come on, like, what
You
are you
just got to
doing?
get rich first.
Yeah, I just have to get rich first. Don't you know who I am? I'm Big T. Like, come on. Don't you want your daughter to marry me? But it's more just being a Christian, having Christian values. I'm very respectful, gentleman, stuff like that. So I hope they would see my heart and see I have good intentions over, well, you're too old for my daughter, shut up, type thing. I don't know. Good night, Claudia.
Yes, good night.
But I don't know. It's just what you said. It's up to the Lord and what He wants to provide, and I'm just open to it. I'm open to meeting somebody, and maybe adoption is what He has in mind if I do meet somebody who's around my age. I don't know. Maybe He wants me to just focus on ministry and not get married, which I don't know why He'd give me this desire to marry, the strong desire to marry if that wasn't in the cards, and to be a dad. But
I mean,
it's
Amber
weird
and I used to
because,
joke that we both thought we were going to be single for the rest of our lives,
yeah.
and we met late 20s, which is a little different than you, but at the same time, it's definitely there's lots of stories that it can happen and will happen.
Yeah, it's like once you get to my age, it's like you can go either way. It's like, all right, well, maybe I meant to be single. Because when you've been single for this freaking long, it's like it's gonna be hard to introduce somebody into my lifestyle now.
I have
Um,
a serious question for you.
yeah.
Have you started adopting cats yet?
No, I don't have any cats.
You're good. You passed the test.
That's too funny. Peachy might. You probably know Peachy. I don't know if you do. What did you go by on CF again?
Me, I was EPHS True.
I go way back with Peachy as well.
Many years. So Tony and I met online on this awesome website at the time, back when the internet was like new, and I say safe in parentheses because there was still danger, but it's not quite as crazy as now. On this site called Christian Forums, and we definitely, we're big people, big personalities, ran the place, not necessarily ran the place, but we're definitely popular, had friends, and it's kind of cool to, Tony and I have never met in real life, but like, still call him a good friend. Like, it's really cool those bonds you can make.
Yeah, I mean, I'm open to meeting somebody on online who might be interested in me because I've seen how many freaking couples went through there and ended up married. I mean, and they made it work. I mean, God can bring anybody into your life. We've been friends since 2004 or 2005, so it's like really deep, good friendships, and I'm that's why I'm open to it. I'm open to meeting somebody online. I'm open to friendships. Like I consider my online friends my real friends. Like we've had real impact on each other's lives, and we've been there for each other through thick and thin. So
Also, I need to address the controversy I started. I'm not knocking on cats. I actually own two cats, and I'm a proud cat dad. So, cats rock. So there's no hate there. Growing up, I thought I didn't like cats because my dad didn't like cats, and I was like, I don't like cats. I'm a dog guy. Then I met my wife who had a cat, and now I'm a cat dad.
my dad was that same way. Like I don't like cats, don't want them in the house. And then as soon as my grandparents had a house up in West Branch, and so like they had a cat they called Mama Cat, and she often had litters that they'd give away or whatever. But we eventually brought two of them home, and my dad fell in love with them and became a cat dad. But yeah, that's yeah. There's no problem with being a cat parent, and I definitely want to get a dog at some point though too to help with my weight loss, but they charge so much to have pets here at where I live. Like they're very strict about it.
So here's the thing to consider is if having a dog or a cat is going to help your mental and emotional well-being, if you see a counselor or a psychologist, they can write you a letter making it an emotional support animal.
Hmm.
And legally, apartments cannot charge you pet rent if you have an emotional support animal. So all you have to do is see like a counselor, and the counselor needs to agree that hey, you know this is going to be beneficial for you, and then the apartments from housing bylaws they cannot charge you pet rent.
Okay, that's good to know.
Yeah, we actually did that with where we live now because it was like $300 a pet, and we already had our two cats, and it was like, okay, these are Amber's emotional support animals, so you had to pay a little bit to go through the process to get the letter and stuff, but it's a legit thing for people who animals are their emotional support.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'll have to keep that in the back of my mind.
Sure. Well, I think we could just keep talking because
I mean, yeah, if you're up for it. I mean,
I'll sleep when I'm dead.
I have a hot date later, but I mean, it's
We're not talking about your hot pocket or your lean cuisine.
no. I had
I
my
mean, I
lean
do.
cuisine before I came on, so
Gotcha. I do joke with my wife Amber that I cannot promise I'll never cheat on her because I will probably cheat on her with Wendy. She's a redhead,
and she's got
but
that,
she's the only person.
and she's got that square patty going on. I see
Yeah,
it.
she's the hot and juicy redhead. She's the only one I'll ever cheat on Amber with is Wendy.
So Marilyn said this. Why do you say? What do you say? Why do you say this, Big T? You are in the middle of a lifestyle change right now. Anything could happen. Yeah, I mean it's just mentally kind of like feeling stuck. Like you've wasted the best 20 years of your life. Like I'm not gonna get my teens back. I'm not gonna get my 20s or my 30s back. It's and like I had a lot of depression because my high school has this channel they call GBTV, Grand Blanc Television, because that's where I went to high school. And like the first year they had that TV station is when like I was in that class that started that channel. And so now every Friday they put up a video on YouTube, and it's just the goings on around high school and everything else. And like there's times I'd sit there and watch it with tears in my eyes. Like that was the best time of my life is when I was in high school. That's when things were sort of normal for me. The only time it was really normal for me. And it's like I missed out on so much. I didn't go to any proms or dances. And when I said that, people are like, "Oh, they're overrated." But I'm like, I missed out on that. Like I didn't have a high school girlfriend. I didn't, have any friends that I kept with me throughout after graduating high school. Like I have nobody. I have like one friend that I still have from high school, but that's it. So it's like just watching everybody enjoying high school and going about their normal time, and it's like that was the last time life was good or normal for me. That's when my dad was alive and stuff like that. And it was like right after that is when he passed away, and my life went to hell, and I gained all this weight, and then lost 20 years, and it's like I can't get those years back. It's really hard thinking about losing so many years of your life being stuck in bed and um, now it's like, how do I move forward now? It's like I said, I'm open to meeting somebody younger than me because I do want to have kids, but it's like, when does it stop being creepy? Like, when am I going to be the old man? You know, like, it's like I don't see myself as being almost 40. I still think of myself as, that guy that's 20 years old and got his whole life ahead of him. So mentally, that's kind of what I'm thinking now. It's like, wow, I got my whole life ahead of me, but wow, I'm almost 40. Like, what did I miss out on? Should I just live single for the rest of my life? Do I have any hope of meeting somebody? Am I done with life and I just kind of exist now? Like, it's all those thoughts enter your head, when you're just kind of getting to this point.
Yeah, just don't let the fear of the unknown hold you back.
Yeah, that's true. Darla says she spent 15 years taking care of her mom, and now she's too old to date, so she volunteers at an animal rescue.
Hmm, that's neat.
My mom,
I mean, I would argue that there's no too old to date, but it's cool that you found an outlet that brings you joy.
yeah, my mom's almost 60, and she just started dating. I mean, she just met a guy, and they started dating, and she's over there right now. Would you marry someone close to your age that already had kids? Oh yeah, absolutely, Peachy. Like I love kids. Like if she already had a kid or two or 10 or whatever, like I don't care. It's I love kids.
Well,
I'll
women can have kids up into their 50s now,
yeah.
so it's definitely.
I mean,
Um,
I'm pretty sure like being at my age, it's gonna be rare to find somebody who doesn't have a kid. You know, like going through the dating sites, like 90% of them said that they had at least a kid.
yeah,
From 25 up. So, yeah, I'd definitely marry somebody closer to my age that had some kids. I would consider adoption if she was open to that, if that's a possibility. So, I'm really open to what the Lord has. It's if I meet somebody that's got a kid or two, or somebody who can't have kids and adoption is on the table, I just want some kids. I want to be a dad really bad. If that's not my own kid, I'm not passing down those awesome Big T jeans, and that's what happened. I wasted too much time.
yeah. Um, Lewis says, "How do you move forward?" Well, you can move forward now. You wouldn't have been moving forward if you didn't take control of this thing. Regret, although super easy to feel, doesn't help much.
Hmm. Yeah, I mean, it's like I was saying, it's like, do I just die now or do I try? And I decided to try. You know.
For sure.
So Amber said, "You never know what God had in store for you. My mom always wanted 6 kids, but only had two naturally. Later in life, she married my stepdad, who had 4 kids. God blessed her with the 6 kids." So that's awesome. Yeah. All right, guys, I think we're going to pretty much end it right here. Just want to thank my friend
Yeah,
Derek. I'm sure he will definitely be back on.
if you have me.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, we've talked for an hour and a half, so thank you all who stuck with us. This has been a really enlightening conversation for me. I've learned a lot, and I think Tony, just for his openness and willing to share these things and not hide in like a fake shame of it.
yeah, I'm glad you learned something from it because, like, for a moment there, I was like, I don't remember anything.
You
But
are getting old.
yeah, that's true. I definitely had answers prepared, and I looked over the questions and everything else. I'm like, all right, I'm good for this. And then we started asking them. I'm like, I don't remember.
My phone a friend.
Hey, Derek. No.
Hold on, Tony. I'm getting a call.
All right, everybody. Thank you very much. Glad for you to join us. We had a good number come on today and join us for Big Talks with Big T. And like I said, we'll have Derek back on to talk about his journey a little more, and maybe we'll get more into the fat acceptance stuff that we seem to be have agreement on. We talked a little bit about it before we went live here, but we love you guys and hope you have a great rest of your evening. Thanks again, Derek.
Yeah. Thank you. Good night, everyone.
Good night, and